Whether your beer is in a bottle, can, or glass, kick back and relax. It's better on draft.
Welcome, everybody. This is episode 281 of the Better on Draft podcast. My name is Ken. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. We are live on a Thursday night, a different show. We are not going to be live tomorrow. We'll be at the beer festival over in Grand Rapids on Saturday, so make sure you guys get out there, get safe, go hang out and visit all the great breweries in Grand Rapids. Let's go around and see what everybody's drinking. We'll start with Robert. What do you got?
I have two cans right now. In glass number one, I have the Briefcase Porter from Exhibit A and the Goody Two Shoes Kolsch from Exhibit A.
Dan, it's Thursday at 4 o'clock where you are. What are you drinking?
It's 5 o'clock. It's still winter time, but I've got the good old vodka soda going on in one hand, and I'm really taking a chance here and drinking the Cat's Meow New England IPA from Exhibit A.
Well, we definitely know how much you love New England IPAs.
Yep.
But Nick, what do you got over there?
Well, I'm drinking the same stuff that Rob is drinking. However, I'm also about to take a hit of this beast right here. DCD Punchki Day vodka for this year.
Take a hit, Nick.
I'm going to take a hit live on the air with you guys right now, and I'll let you know how it is.
Well, while Nick is drinking, Wendy, what do you got?
I am also drinking the Cat's Meow, and man, is this fantastic.
Well, I know people were waiting to see. I am still sober, still waiting for the blood work to come back on a few different things that I was, medication I was taking. So I've got some Heine 00, and I'm going to follow that up with Athletic All Out Extra Dark, and follow that up with Well-Beings Hellraiser Dark Amber. So we are still staying sober and enjoying the NA beers that I have. But we have two guests with us. If you couldn't tell based on the beers that we were drinking, well, everyone but me, it is Exhibit A Brewing. We'll start with Matthew. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what you do for Exhibit A?
Hi, I'm Matthew Steinberg. I am the co-founder and head brewer at Exhibit A Brewing, and I can't even list the things I do. Get to make some beer sometimes.
How about the top two things you do? The two things you do the most.
I manage the brewery, and I make sure that everybody that's doing all of this special work makes it all happen for us.
Awesome. And next to you, we have Kelsey. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Hi, I'm Kelsey Roth. I'm the general manager at Exhibit A Brewing Company, and I do everything that does not involve brewing beer.
True.
And what are you guys drinking?
I have a Briefcase Porter. It's in a lovely little glass right here.
I'm drinking Goody Two Shoes, and it's in my Cat's Meow glass.
Awesome.
No Stanges at the house?
I do, but I didn't want to dirty up all the glassware.
Where is Exhibit A located?
We're in Framingham. Oh, go ahead, Kelsey, please.
Yeah, we're in Framingham, Massachusetts, which is about, I'd say 35 minutes west of Boston. So considered Metro West.
Now, when we typically have multiple guests from the same place, usually one is like the talker and the other one's like super quiet and shy, but both of you are super talkative, which is great, which means that we'll just make sure we direct our questions to you a little bit more specific. So let's start with Matthew. What made you want to start the brewery?
So I've been brewing professionally for, now kind of well over 20 years. And I've worked for great owners, and I've worked with other brewers over the years that have inspired me. And I've always kind of had that itch to, kind of have our own place. And it's gone through many plans and many iterations. And finally, when Jack's Abbey Brewing decided they were leaving their space, my partner and I were like, this is maybe a good idea. Let's do this. And we came up with a name really quickly and had some ideas on what that meant to us, and presentation. Exhibit A was the first thing, was like presenting our beers to everybody. And we just decided let's roll with it. I want to get a brewery going, and Framingham seemed like a really great place once the plan all got put together. And then I found Kelsey to help create it, and he did. He really helped create this brewery in so many ways.
All right, so I want to actually go ahead and talk about one of your beers. If you caught what Ken was saying, I've got the Cat's Meow here. Definitely not an IPA fan. I hate to say it, and I'm not talking about your beer specifically, but I'd rather drain pour 99% of them than drink them. So tell me a little.
Choice, then.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about this beer. Why would I want to try it as a non-IPA drinker? Tell me a little bit about it and why I should actually crack open a can and have it.
I mean, I'm not convinced that you should if you hate IPAs, but I will say, and I only mean that because as a
we make other beers.
Yeah, as a portfolio brewery that we have a wide variety. But I mean, the thing about this particular New England IPA, if you will, is it is a hazy IPA. It's 6.5%. It's loaded with hops. It has some bitterness. I find it super balanced. Like that's kind of the approach we have with most of our beers. Is balance. Yeah. I mean, I think you'll like it because you might like it because of the cat. You might like it because how the finish is. You might like it how bitter it is, and how it makes you feel. And
that's actually, I'm glad you brought up the well balanced, because that's one thing this has that a lot of IPAs don't, and it's not overly hoppy, and that's one thing I absolutely hate. It. A lot of IPAs, and I know New England's aren't quite the same as compared to like a West Coast. Is that whole pine sol, like I'm chewing on hops at some point because of the IPA, but this is a very well balanced, actually pretty mild compared to a lot of them. So I'm actually kind of impressed. So I probably would drink one, especially if someone handed it to me like you guys did. So thank you. Do you guys make other IPAs in addition to this, or do you focus mostly on New England's, or what styles do you like to go into?
We make a lot of IPAs. they tend to sell well. But, yeah, we have the little sister to Cat's Meow, which is called Just a Kitten, which is our 5% version. And we change up the recipe a little bit. So the featured hop in that is Vic's Secret instead of El Dorado. And then we do a double IPA called Hair Razor. And that one features mostly Galaxy. And we do some occasionals. We do Danko, which is a great IPA made with some local rye, and Simcoe, Wandering Thoughts, which is an all Australian hop double IPA. And then we have some we're just calling them American IPAs because they're not they kind of straddle that line between West Coast and New England style. And we do short sell and why am I blank on the name of the other one?
We're brewing it on Tuesday.
Yeah. Market Gap.
I want to say sometimes the lead singer of the band forgets the name of the songs or forgets the words of the songs. Kelsey named that beer. So
yeah. And I was
I can't wait to make it. It's a good one. It's a really good one. Yeah.
Now I see one of the beers that you guys make. It's got a character on it from Office Space. Did you guys run into any issues with this can? Did you get any cease and desists?
Well, now we have not yet, and I don't know if Mike Judge is the litigious kind, but we figure we'll ride it until someone yells at us. But it was just too fun to put that all together, and it's really our one like kind of funny kind of pop culture reference beer that we make.
And I noticed it's a Scotch ale. Scotch ales are pretty popular out here. If you're familiar with Kilt Lifter, being from Arizona at some point, is that what inspired you to make a Scotch ale? A lot of breweries really don't go down that road with that type of beer. Ingredients
inspired me. We use local malts, and they were like, we can smoke some grain for you. We can make incredible Munich malt for you. And we wanted to brew a beer with those grains, and we felt Scotch ale was the right one. And everyone at the brewery is like, we should make a Scotch ale, especially Kelsey. And
I love Scotch ales.
You do. And I do too. And I really enjoyed it the other night at dinner, and it was perfect with the food that it was served with and the eggplant. It was amazing. And I think you mentioned Kilt Lifter. I do have a proud moment as a young brewer of receiving a cease and desist from Four Peaks Brewing Company in Phoenix, in Tempe, which is I'm assuming the brewery you're talking about, for Kilt Lifter, and I had to change the name to the Laughing Laird. That was at Offshore Ale on Martha's Vineyard years ago. But I still have that letter somewhere that I received, which was a cease and desist. It was kind of great. But I mean, the malts, that it's like we have access to these amazing grains from Valley Malt, and that's the kind of beer that highlights the soul of the beer, that malt, and so getting like fresh, like literally 4 days ago it was malted and 3 days ago it was smoked, and we're like, oh wow, now it's in our brewery within a week of it being processed, and it was so incredible to use. So yeah, I mean, that's why for me as a brewer.
Awesome. Rob, I'm going to pass it over to you.
All right. Let me see, because I had my question and then it kind of got a little thrown off. So I'm going to go here, actually talk about one of the other beers, being, of course, the Goody Two Shoes. Yeah, Goody Two Shoes. For some reason, I can't speak today. I don't know what's going on. We definitely have a good share of Kolsch's out here, but I've heard that this particular Kolsch of yours is essentially the hearts of Exhibit A. I guess talk about what it means to have this Kolsch and why is it the heart of your brewery?
And Kelsey, you're drinking one right now. You should talk about it.
Why is it the heart of our brewery? I think it's one of the beers that we're most proud of. It's got it's not the highest rated on Untappd because people tend to not rate Kolsch's very high, but it's definitely gotten the most critical acclaim. It was just recently ranked number 12 by Wine Enthusiast as one of the top 50 beers for 2021. But it's the soul of the brewery because it's like when we're brewing it, everyone seems to be in a little bit better mood. It's the beer that all the brewers drink after, for their shift beer after work. It's the beer that other brewers, when they come to our brewery, they're like, "Oh, I got to try the Kolsch. I really want to try the Kolsch." So it's just one that really resonates with us, and it's that kind of beer that you can't hide behind. It's I always say it's like running on the beach naked. You're people are going to see everything. You can't put a big hoodie on and and pretend that you're somewhere else. But it's just that classic style that we did in a very traditional way that really means a lot to us.
Yeah, it is, and it is very, very clean. I mean, I almost feel like going to Untappd and saying, "Not an IPA, 1 star."
Yeah.
Actually, you know what, Rob?
There's a few.
Please do.
Rob, can I interject real quick? Because as I'm scurrying to try and get ready for today's show, helping put my 15-month-old to bed. One discovery I made because I'm drinking the Goody Two Shoes as well. When you guys signed a deal with Atlantic to do distribution a couple of years ago, Beer Advocate actually had this at a 100. And now, granted, that was a few years ago. The rating on this is still really, really high on Beer Advocate, contrary to what Ken's favorite word, the plebs on Untappd, say. So I mean, there's still got to be a lot of love, contrary to what people on Untappd say about this beer. And me personally, not a huge fan of Kolsch's overall. This is going down very, very easily, and it's very, very smooth, very clean. I'm digging it. So I just want to throw that out there. Don't listen to what the people on Untappd say.
Yeah.
So,
We don't. I think that's the funny part.
We try not to.
Yeah, I mean, Kelsey will be the first to tell you that I definitely have looked at Untappd and looked at him at his desk, and I'm like, I want to like respond to this person and be like, I can get them to like us, I bet, or hate us, but either one is better than this. And yeah, I haven't looked at Untappd in a very long time, and that's a very deliberate thing.
Yeah, I kept telling Matthew, don't look at the ratings. Don't look at the ratings.
Yeah, I don't look at the ratings.
That was going to be my question, because I was kind of curious.
I used to like
those mattered.
To a point. Yeah, it does matter, because I think if anything, it matters to the person writing it and spending the effort. And if they're, the way I see it is like, the star system is what's flawed about it. It's like, tell me your experience with the beer. Who were you with? What were you doing? How was the music? That is just as important as the liquid, really, on many levels. And so I feel like if our liquid is good and it can add to your experience, then that is what gives it a 5. It's like, it's not just about like, was this perfect for whatever you think this subjective nature and objective nature should cause the beer to be rated as something. Like, this porter is really good. Is it a perfect brown porter? Probably not. Is it really a robust porter? Not even. It's like in between. So maybe it wouldn't be rated well in that objective sense. But
right.
So, but I do like some of it too. I kind of find it entertaining to read. I have a shirt that says it's 1 star. It's Moe's Tavern in Lee, and it's their 1-star review, and it says the only good thing about this place is their beer list. And it's like 1 star, and
they don't serve food. They
have no food.
Basically, they're a beer bar.
They're a beer bar with no food, and that was their 1 out of 5 rating. And it's like, that's a beautiful thing.
Well, I guess I was, and I'm sorry. I was kind of the reason I was kind of curious about why it matters is that it kind of once Kelsey mentioned Untappd, it had me thinking about beer subscription companies like Tavour and how they pride themselves on making sure that they only offer beers that are rated 4.0 or higher. And I guess I'm curious from both of you is that, when you have subscription sites like that, I mean, kind of pressure you into having that rating just to be a part of the business model and get your beer to go out further into the country. Should there be a better system to do that?
I think there definitely should be a better system, but possibly also, we sell beer through Tavour, and I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think Kolsch has
Goody Two Shoes. Yeah, I don't think Goody Two Shoes is a 4.
It's not a 4, and they've definitely sold that beer. They've definitely sold that beer. So I don't know about that necessarily.
They may not. Yeah, they may not keep true to that statement 100%.
Right, right. And also, I think they probably find beers they love that they're like, who cares about the rating? This beer rules, Yeah. And
what I think is the sad part is that other people will put a lot of weight into those ratings. And, I would see, when I used to work in retail, I would see people, on their phones checking Untappd ratings, standing there at the shelf and saying, should I buy this? Should I buy this? Should I buy that? And that's where I think the system falls apart, because they're putting this a lot of weight into ratings of people that they don't even know. And when you have a rating system, whether it's Yelp or Google or Untappd, that anyone can be a critic, so quote unquote be a critic. They're not following any set of similar standards, so everyone's rating just the way they want to rate. And but my favorite one was somebody rated, I think it was Cat's Meow, like a one star. And so Matthew reached out and said, hey, was there a problem with the beer? Was it why did you give this bad rating? And the person responded and said, I hate IPAs, so I rate them all bad, so brewers will stop making them. And I'm like, I can't even argue with that. Like that, like that's a logic that is beyond me. And they just have their own logic. This is what they're doing, and this is how they enjoy using the app. So it's like, okay.
That's a whole other realm of asking about the popularity of IPAs and their trends and things like that. So I will leave that to other conversations. Anybody else wants to ask that?
It may have been Dan. I don't know. So it could have been Dan.
It might have been, especially if it was back in the day.
A new strategy for us on pumpkin beers.
No.
There you go.
I've been. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to just add that, for years, I cared so much about reviews, not ratings, and I was very specific about that. And I was a very early adopter of Beer Advocate. I was probably one of the first 500 members on that website, and Kona Brewer on there. No relation to Kona Brewery. And my big thing was I'd love to interact and engage with people that that reviewed our beers, reviewed my beers back in those days. And I made many friends that way. I also created a few enemies. I also, got people that didn't like what I was doing and brought them in and got them to understand what I was doing. And whether or not they liked it after was kind of irrelevant. I just wanted them to understand. And most of them did. I mean, Jared and Jared from, he reviewed High Horse so terribly.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then he became a regular, it was like, because, he gave us a second chance or whatever. Yeah, and I think that part of the review process can be really valuable, because then I can engage with the consumer,
Right. So actually this question I'm going to direct first to you, Matthew, on this one, is that obviously you guys have just recently last year, you've reached 5 years open. So congratulations on that. You're in year 6. I'm curious, when it comes to breweries in general, is there a time frame that you feel where you can say, and especially with Exhibit A or like any other brewery, where you can say, I've made it? Is 5 years that line? Is it 10? Do you ever feel it?
I don't know that oh man, that's a good one. That's a great one, Rob. I think that I felt like we made it during year 1 because everything was exciting and new, and we were like, yes, and it was happening, and now I feel like we've made it because we made it through the pandemic and at least the first 2 years of it. And, we're growing our staff right now. We're making more beer than we have ever. But I guess it's for everybody else. I mean, I honestly feel very stable in our business. So I guess that means we've made it, but then you see breweries that are 22 and 25 years old closing. Hair of the Dog just announced they're closed. He's retiring. That brand is going to die, is going to go away. It's like, that's kind of crazy. So I think, no, I don't. I think we have our time, and then when it's up, as far as the business is concerned. But yeah, I feel like Exhibit A has made it. We had an excellent infancy. Like we were, I think for at least in Massachusetts, a pretty exciting brand to start at the start, and people, came to us. We have a bunch of great regulars in our tap room that we still see that have been with us since the beginning. Right. And now it's just me and Kelsey left as far as the original first staff. And Kelsey was the first hire. So, and so, yeah. So yeah, we got a great family set up there with our regulars and the people that, keep coming to us for more beer.
Right. Kelsey, anything to add to that?
No, I think that covers it.
All right. I will hand this off to Wendy, because I believe she's got a couple of questions.
Oh, I always have a lot of questions. So I am curious. I am a volunteer at heart, so I always like to ask our guests, what are you doing to? I feel like a brewery is a part of the heart of the community. So I always want to know, what are you doing in your community to kind of seal that relationship?
That is an absolute question for Kelsey.
Yeah. I'll take that one. When I used to, in my previous career, I used to work for a craft beer retail chain. And part of my job was I would train the new franchise owners on how to kind of market their business and things like that. And I would always tell them that a community supports the business that supports the community. And, so you need to be out there, helping your community get better. And whether it's, making donating to a raffle to help the local hockey team, or whether it's hosting a fundraiser at the brewery, these things go a long way to to kind of really connect with the community, but also show that you want to help that community get better. So we're involved with quite a few organizations. One that we do a lot of donations and fundraising for is Hoops and Homework. And it's a local, literally behind our brewery, there's a housing community, and there's a lot of underserved kids there. So it's an after-school program. Especially during the pandemic, they did provided a lot of laptops and helped a lot with online learning. And so that's an organization that we're really close with. We do support Pink Boots as well. We're actually just brewed our Pink Boots beer for this, or actually we're about to brew our Pink. Yeah, we're about to brew our Pink Boots beer. So that's an organization that we support a lot. We've also been working with Autism Alliance to make our tap room an autism welcoming business. So it's part of what we feel we wanted to do to make our tap room more welcoming and inclusive. So we offer on Sundays, we offer a special autism welcoming hours where, the music's lower. It's a little less busy. Our staff is prepared to help out with calming kits if needed, and, provide quick service when needed as well. Some people want to close a tab right away. They're good with that. And we're also on, next Saturday, we're hosting the Polar Plunge for the Special Olympics of Massachusetts. So this is going to be our second year of hosting it on site. We hosted one just before the lockdown in 2020. So that's going to be a lot of fun, and they're a great organization in Massachusetts and help out a lot of kids as well. So that's an organization we really enjoy supporting.
Well, I need to know if either of you are going to do the plunge.
Oh yeah,
we both are. Yeah,
we both do.
That's fantastic.
We're actually competing right now. I think I just squeaked ahead of you.
You did. You did. I noticed that. I got to resend that stuff to my friends.
So my other question is that I love to travel. I can't believe it's been 5 years since I've been to Massachusetts for beer. Now I definitely have to come back, but if I'm if I'm traveling and I'm in your area, what should I look for when I come to your brewery? Why should I come there?
I mean, where else are you going to get to go? I want to know where you're going so we can, curate a proper list for you. I mean, you'd come to our brewery and they'd ask you what other breweries you've been to while you've been visiting, and certainly the beers you want to start with would be Kolsch, and, the Goody Two Shoes is a good starter for us. But on the weekends, on Fridays and Saturdays, we do music and comedy shows. We have live jazz on Sundays. We have food pop-ups. This is more Kelsey's question, really, but
yeah. One of the cool things, like our actual tap room is relatively small compared to other breweries in our area. So what we do is on the weekends when there's no production happening, we actually open up the brewery floor and we set up high top tables in there. And we have beer garden string lighting that we hang from the ceiling, and that's actually where the bands play on Fridays and Sundays. And it's a really cool experience to actually sit there right next to the canning line or the fermenters, where the beer that you're enjoying is literally being made, in a tank that's sitting right next to you. And I always laugh when I'm walking around and somebody's like, "Do you do brewery tours?" And I'm like, "You're in it." like I can point out what everything is in here, but you're here. So that's I think it's a really unique and fun experience, and people seem to really like it too. So
yeah, before I got Kelsey on board, when I was just me in the brewery trying to figure out how to get everything started, I had friends come and visit me, generally on Fridays, and my friend Michael's like, "You got to put in get a big movie screen, get a projector, and play like old movies, and like have a band playing in front of it or whatever. You could do the football games, whatever." And he's like, "But no one's gonna spend $16 on a 4-pack of beer. Like, you're insane. No one's gonna do that." And I'm like, "All right, whatever. You don't know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. I love your idea." And so we got a movie screen, and like Kelsey has done an amazing job of promoting local original bands in our brewery, and the comedy shows are awesome too. But
yeah,
drag shows, we've done tons of great stuff.
Yeah, we've done the drag shows are a lot of fun. Those we haven't done inside yet. Those are outside in the beer garden. But I was talking to actually just today was talking to my friend Candy who produces them, so she wants to do them again. So I'm psyched to have them back.
And once the weather changes, they'll be outdoor. We have outdoor.
Yeah, we have outdoor seating.
Yeah.
Definitely sounds like a lot of fun. Nick, did you have?
I can learn how to unmute my microphone there for a second. Really quickly, the Punchki vodka is actually on point. I just want to make that quick statement real quick. You apparently also, you guys like to do, or at least host yoga in the actual production facility as well. And I'm looking, you actually guys got one coming up this Saturday. Is that a real big hit for you guys out there at your place?
It's already sold out. Yeah,
it's already sold out.
But,
wow.
Yeah, so when we first opened, there were a few other breweries that were doing yoga, and I'm like, who wants to do yoga in a cold brewery on a hard floor, and and then drink beer afterwards? Like, who are these people? And so I was really skeptical of it at first, and one of our regulars is a yoga instructor, and she approached us and said, hey, I'd love to do a class. And it was low buy-in for us, so I was like, sure, let's try it and see how it goes. And the first session that we did, it sold out, and we give the yoga attendees 30 minutes in the tap room by themselves before we open to the public. So they have and we offer their first beer for free as part of the ticket. Those 24 people, I think it was 24 or 25 people, stayed in the tap room and spent over $500 on beer, hanging out, for like another hour and a half. And I'm like, I'm sold. Yoga, as much as we possibly can. Let's do it. I'm all about
okay,
yoga.
I'm sold. Sign me up at that point. Wow.
Yeah. So we've also now done Zumba, and we've done not CrossFit, but it's like another interval training kind of thing.
I was actually going to throw out Tavour for a second.
Yeah, Tavour, one of those. But yeah, we've done all kinds of different stuff now.
Have you thought about a Richard Simmons sweating with the oldies class?
Sweating with the oldies
every week.
I would love to do that, but only if people dressed in those 1980s aerobics outfits with the leg warmers and stuff.
I mean that's kind of more like Rob and Dan's type of clothes, because they're like 7 years old.
I'll come to that if Richard Simmons will be there.
Did we ever find him? I think he was missing for a long time.
I'm gonna have to look that up later. Anyway,
let's take that.
Let's switch over to the beer for a second. I was kind of just going through at least what's on, going off of the website, because there might not be something on the website that you guys do special inside the brew facility, in the brew pub. Is there anything, Matthew, that you haven't done yet for the public that you would like to do? And if there is, what would it be, and why would you want to do it?
Yeah, I mean, I got tons of stuff I want to do that we haven't had a chance to do yet. Anything that we make that we deem sellable and as intended, or maybe better than intended, we sell it. We're going to present it to everyone that walks through our space. We've had bottle releases, many of them over the 5.5 years. We've had some beers that weren't perfect, so we dump them down the drain. We, as far as beers that I want to make that we haven't made, well, we made a new beer today that I hadn't made until today, so that was fun. Panda Punch, another name by Kelsey and design. It is a kettle sour with passion fruit, orange, and pink guava. And hibiscus. The guava was one giant pain in the butt. I'll tell you right now. It was so thick we couldn't move it. It was insane. So we had to really work at it. Kyle and I had to fight with it for a good hour and a half to get it into the beer. But there's tons. I had this whole idea to make 4 beers named for my grandparents: Bluma, Bernie, Pearl, and Meyer. And so those are 4 names that they work for me. Meyer Lemon, Pearl's easy, oyster stout. Bluma is this rose oil, geraniol, like saison kind of beer with flour. Like I thought about like edible flowers. And we talked about the edible flowers recently too, Kelsey. I have an idea for a beer that I used to make this beer that was kind of late edition hot side with caraway seed, rye beer. And so I want to dig into rye a lot. These are all just ideas. I don't know that we're going to get to make these anytime soon, but
radish beer.
Yeah, there's a ton. Radish beer. I've been talking about making radish beer for like
radish
10 years.
beer.
Yeah, apparently this guy Jimbo, Uncle Jimbo on Beer Advocate, Jim, he said he did some research or something and said too much radish can be like really bad for you. So I sort of shelved that idea for a minute, like literally cancerous or something. I don't know the details, but
it's a nightshade, isn't it?
It's a nightshade, and I was talking about putting like 500 pounds of radishes in a batch of beer or whatever. But yeah, we haven't pulled that one off. Yeah. If John Hill's listening to this, he's going to crack up. Atlantic Brewing in Maine.
Have you guys had the opportunity to do any collaborations with any breweries elsewhere in the state of Massachusetts or even anywhere in like New England? Because New England, you can go from one state to another state within half an hour, 45 minutes, literally speaking. Having gone through New England a couple years ago prior to the pandemic, my wife and I, we did our first year anniversary trip through New England.
Nice.
And we did stop in Boston for really like only 1 or 2 days. We didn't really go outside of Boston. But have you guys done any collaborations? And is there anyone that you would like to collab that you haven't had the opportunity you would like to at any point?
Sure. I mean, we actually just brewed a collaboration. We haven't done a lot of them. We did one with Finback years ago, for like 3 years ago. And that was a fun beer. It was like a marshmallow porter strong beer. I think my brother might even still have some in the fridge. And then I just went to Big Alice Brewing in New York to brew a collaboration beer in support of the Square Foot Project, which is this very important initiative that we have going about, promoting local grains. So that's with Amory's Tomb, Kent Falls, Outland Farm Brewery, and Big Alice Brewery and Exhibit A Brewing. And we brewed a Vienna lager, like this kind of beautiful all malt, like the wort was so amazing. We were all like, wow, it's like kind of better than we thought it would be. It's so good. And so that was really fun. And we actually are putting together a plan to do a collaboration beer with a local brewery here in Western Mass that's kind of close to me. I've befriended the owner, Mark, and we're going to talk about making a beer together. We haven't decided to announce that yet, so I'll keep it on the DL. And then
breaking news.
I mean, technically, we did a collaboration of right before the pandemic, and had to release the beer during the pandemic with a small brewery here in Boston, Canton, called Trillium. Most people haven't heard of it. And so we wanted to help them out. And
we had to show them how to make Kolsch.
Yeah, so we brewed a Kolsch in their brew pub, and they had to fill growlers during the pandemic of it, and it was gone in like, I don't know, 3 or 4 days or whatever.
Talk about a brewery that makes IPAs.
Yeah, so we and I've been friends with those guys. I mean, we like a lot of people that work there, and JC has been a friend before they even opened their brewery originally. So that was a fun little project, although JC didn't come to the brew day. But we were all there. We had a blast. That brew pub
we seem to keep swapping employees.
Yeah. At that point, I had 3 of their staff members. So it was like kind of a Trillium homecoming. But how beautiful is that? You work in an industry where you can literally steal 3 staff members and then go do a collaboration with that company, with those people. Like that's kind of a testament to this industry that,
I was going to say, maybe is that like a New England thing, or is it?
I don't know. Maybe it's just the thing between us. Maybe it's just us. I don't know. But no, I think it's a beer thing. I think it's an industry thing. I just just hired a new person for our production crew, Justine, and she came from a friend of ours brewery, and he was just at our brewery 4 or 5 days ago, coming to pick up a box of hops and drop off her gloves. So so it was really cool.
Hey, one thing that we've talked, and before I pass it over to Wendy, one thing we've always talked about on this show is just the camaraderie and the bonds that breweries have with each other, whether it's local or regional within the same state, or regional outside of the state, or even going across the pond to other side of the other side of the world. It seems to me that craft beer has always had that camaraderie, that it has always been open to collaboration and working together. I mean, we all know, at least everyone here on the show, we all talk about Redline when their place burnt down, and then next thing you know, breweries were lining up to help them out, get them back up and running, and they were back up and running within just about a couple months or so.
Oh wow!
So yeah, no surprise about the camaraderie that you're talking about with your fellow other fellow brewers in Massachusetts. Wendy, you actually had another follow-up question. We'll let you take it from here.
So speaking of the camaraderie in Massachusetts, I 5 or 6 years ago, I spent a week in the Boston area visiting breweries. Like, we literally were there to go to breweries. And at the time, I was very, very hop timid. I was not a big fan of IPAs at all. But I was learning about hops and trying to differentiate which hops I liked and which ones I didn't, so that I could figure out why I liked which IPAs I did and which ones I didn't. And every brewery that I went to, I would ask them what hops were in whatever I was drinking. And they would literally go and pull a book out from behind the bar and show me what hops were in that beer. And I was just curious, because it was literally every bar. Is that like a regulation that you guys have there?
Nope. I think you just went to the good places.
Yeah.
I was at 16 different breweries while I was there. And
I think we all
14 of them pulled that book out and let me look at it.
That's cool.
So I've always been curious as to whether or not it's
not a regulation.
A lot about hops that trip.
Yeah. I think what a lot of us do is because we know and there's a lot of brewery tourism in Massachusetts, because of there's a lot of big name breweries that attract tourists from all over the East Coast and even further, but it's also a quick drive, and you can go Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, and just say banging brewery after banging brewery. So we see people coming through all the time, and a lot of them ask want to know these questions. So we have behind our bar, it's just called the Brewery Cheat Sheets. And so you open it up, and we have beer descriptions, a quick ingredient list, and then, because we're about storytelling, we have what's a good what's a selling point of this beer, or what's important to know about the beer. So and that's super helpful for new staff, so that when people start drilling them with questions, they know how to answer it. But yeah, I think we maybe got that idea from some other tap room, and now we're all just stealing the idea. But it's very helpful. We could also actually, now you just gave me a great idea, because we now have printed up sell sheets for every single one of these beers for our distributor. Yeah, we should just buy 3-ring bind all the sell sheets and put them in there for every single beer. And then they have all that information as well. And if they want to order wholesale, they know what the pricing is too. So
yeah, I think it's important too that, like, as a young brewer, I was working in brew pubs, and education was always a big part of my job. My job at pre-mail was to tell people about the beer that was coming on. I was at John Harvard's in Cambridge in the 90s or whatever, and it was golden, Old Willie's IPA is coming on. This is the Chinook Centennial kind of West Coast IPA. And we had to talk about it and do it. And I always enjoyed that piece of it. I loved the education. So when we started, Kelsey and I had Kelsey's a Cicerone in the family here, but we met very eye to eye on that one part, which was that our staff needs to be very educated. Kelsey has beers, sensory trainings. He does, we pay to have, we'll help you earn your Cicerone by paying for your first level and then contributing to your second level. And we have an agenda. We want our staff to be very well educated. And the consumer wants that a lot of times. Some don't, some are just like, I'm just here for the beer, here for the, for the experience. But some want those questions answered, and, we'd be fools not to be prepared for that.
Yeah. And I think, spending a lot of time behind the bar, one of probably the most frequent conversation I have with people who come into the tap room is the other breweries that they've gone to. And, so they're like, where else should I go? Or they want to tell me about, tomorrow we're going to go check out Treehouse, and then we're going to go, Jack's Abbey, or whatever it is. And, or they're looking for, they say, where should we go next? We'd like to recommend our friends' breweries, and send them in that direction. And, or let them know about small breweries that just opened up that they may not have heard of before, that are making some great beers. So I think that I always compared it to like a record store, like back in the day. Like you would go into the record store and you talk to the staff there. It's like, what's new? What should I be buying? What should I be listening to? What bands are really awesome? And it's kind of the same thing, except it's beer. They want to know, people want to know, what's the new beer that you got on? What should I be trying? Where should I go next? They kind of look to the taproom staff for that kind of information. So
are you saying we closed down the record stores? Did we ruin the record stores?
We ruined the record stores. No, they just kind of
came to us.
Yeah, and that's why we do Record Store Day. And now the record stores are coming to us because we host vinyl pop-ups as well. So.
we all know video killed the radio star. We won't get into that.
Sure did.
Love video.
I think it's awesome, and as a customer who comes in and asks those kind of questions and has some really awesome conversations about beer, we really do appreciate it when the staff definitely knows what they're talking about and they're not just making stuff up. Or I've been in breweries where they've actually said, I don't actually like beer.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'm like, why would you tell your customer that?
Just play the part. Be a good actor. If
right,
you're not,
like that's your job.
Yeah.
Is to sell beer. Yeah. Anyways, Ken,
I've had applicants that said that, like, I really don't like beer, but I think this would be a fun job. I'm like, okay, but I don't. But how are you going to describe the beers or talk about them with customers and
show passion for it? Like, be truly passionate for it.
The more people get excited about something they're talking about, the more excited I get. So.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah. Me too.
The best thing to do, especially within the restaurant industry, is lie. And lie. If you don't like beer, if you don't like beer, you lie about what beer you like, especially if it's the most expensive beer on the menu or the most expensive plate on the menu, or oh man, I had the chocolate cake last night and it was delicious. When you're trying to upsell. Chocolate, or, when someone orders a vodka soda and you're like, oh, I like mine with Tito's. What do you want with yours? There's so many amazing things to do, but to tell someone you don't like a certain product that you serve, it's not like that person's going to make you eat it in front of you or drink it in front of you.
That on occasion that can work. There was a bar that the entire kitchen drank my beer, right? This is years ago. It was blatant IPA. And basically like half the beer they sold was because the kitchen drank it for shifties. And the wait staff was just like, I don't know, the kitchen loves it. That was their kind of joke approach with it. It was like, I don't know, the kitchen drinks it all. If you guys want it, it's really, I guess it's pretty good,
As we end the show, everyone's gonna have a final question for you to send you off, and then make sure we'll figure out how to follow you guys on social medias and get everything. So we are going to start with Rob and make our way around. Rob, what's your final question for these folks?
Easy one, I believe, for Matthew. Favorite beer to drink while listening to Grateful Dead?
Oh, how'd you know I was listening to the Dead, first of all?
We do really good research.
Wow. Am I on tour and am I 19, or is it like right now?
We'll just say right now.
Okay, because when I was 19, it was Molson's. And it was fabulous.
We'll definitely say Sirius XM on the Grateful Dead station. What you drink?
I mean, I'm drinking Goody Two Shoes. I am. Especially if it's summer and it's warm outside or whatever. I'm drinking a nice, crisp, clean Kolsch. That's my beer of choice to listen to the dead to.
There you go.
Dan,
even if it's not mine, it doesn't have to be my Kolsch. It could be any other Kolsch too. That's really good.
All right. I wanted to ask, going back to the collaborations, this is for both of you, really. If you could pick one brewery in the U.S., doesn't have to be Massachusetts, so any brewery anywhere in the country, who would you want to do a collaboration with and why?
That's
good question.
That is a good question. I think, I mean, I think I would actually want to do a collaboration with Tommy Arthur at Lost Abbey. And it's not, it might be, it's for a variety of reasons, but the big reason is we've become friends over the years. And we actually came up at the same time where I worked at a homebrew shop. He lived in that town in Flagstaff and went to school there with me. We did not know each other. We didn't become friends until 10 years later, after both of us were brewing professionally. I think it would be a really fun place to do a collaboration. I love his beers. I think they're great. It's a completely disconnected brewery from us, but I love their stuff. I don't know, Kelsey, you got one?
I would say probably Allagash. And they're
wow.
I'm a huge fan of their beers. They, even before I was really in this industry, I was a huge fan of what they did. And, their staff and crew, from the taproom staff to their brewing, production crew, they're all just amazing people. And they're really leaders in this industry too. So I think that would be a great collaboration to do.
For those of you not watching the video, which you can watch at youtube.com/betterondraft, I was actually pointing behind me because I got 2 bombers of Allagash triple ready to be drank. For everyone that's been listening to the show, I haven't drank since September, which is when I went to Portland. So a lot of these beers have just been kind of sitting and staring at me for the past 6 months on this show. So I'll be excited to try. That's definitely not the first one. There's some cans. There's a brewery locally called Urban Rest, and they did a collaboration. If you guys are familiar with Old Nation, who's basically one of our New England IPA producers, they make plenty of other beers, but M43 really put them on the spot, and they made an alt beer with Urban Rest. So nice. I am so excited to try it. It's literally my favorite style of beer. So Wendy, what's your final question with these folks?
So I am sitting in your brewery. I'm a visitor from another state. What is the neighboring brewery that you tell me to go visit?
Oh boy, I'm gonna say go to Lookout Farm. It's such a beautiful place. It's like you can eat in a greenhouse year round. It's a beautiful giant farm with orchards and grapes and peaches and apple trees, and they have local cider made on site by Aaron Matichuk, and they have actually my cousin is their beer brewer there, Matt Cohen, which is just kind of just a coincidence. That place is great, and I rarely go there, but it's probably my favorite local place that's within like 5 miles of us or whatever. Yeah, I mean we have a really really nice brewery half a mile away too called Jack's Abbey, which is very well known and very very good. They make great lager.
The pizza's great too.
Yeah,
I like their pizza. But I'm gonna. It's a toss-up between two, but I usually recommend this other one, but I'm going to switch it up a little bit and say Startline in Hopkinton. Their beer is really good right now. They really dialed it in. They started off as a hydroponic farm, and they kind of expanded and built like a whole new facility. The tap room now is gorgeous. They got awesome outdoor space. So when it's nice outside, it's a great place to hang out. And they also have really good food. So they just opened their restaurant about a year and a half ago, and their food's really nice too. Good chicken wings.
Nick, what about you?
I gotta go there. I haven't been there yet.
Nick, what about you?
What is in your fridge right now that is not an Exhibit A beer that you're drinking not exactly at this moment, but over the next couple days? A non-Exhibit A brewing beer in your fridge that you're going to be drinking in the next couple days over the weekend. What is it going to be? Or what is it?
My answer is simple. None. I have some beer. I mean, I got a bottle of Bullet right here around the corner in my closet, but I don't have any beer in the fridge that isn't mine right now. I have one can of Cat's Meow that's a dented can off the canning line last week that I didn't drink last week, and I have and I think that's it. That's all that's in my fridge for alcohol.
Dented cans are half price. Microsoft went down 3 points yesterday. Everyone knows this. It's like one of the few times you could ever use a really good Big Daddy quote, but that was
Microsoft down 3 points. Yeah, speak like the kids.
So
I will say that there's a bottle of Cool Ship right there. You mentioned Allagash. Kelsey also obviously mentioned Allagash. There's a bottle of Cool Ship right here too. So I'm going to say that. Allagash Cool Ship.
For me, luckily, earlier this week we did a beer dinner with some friends of ours in the industry. It's actually where I used to work, called Craft Beer Cellar, and their restaurant is called Trinktisch. But they have one of the best craft beer selections in the state. And for our Pink Boots beer this year, we're doing a Belgian triple. So I made a little variety 6-pack of some of my favorite triples to drink, as for research, so for work. So I got some Strauss Hendricks, I got some Golden Drac, and the one that I've actually have an Allagash triple in there as well that I'm looking forward to enjoying, and of course some Delirium Tremens for Belgian Strong Golden. So hitting the Belgians hard.
We should maybe we should have some of those at the brew day. Should get some more. And
we'll get some more. We got the gift card, so
we do.
Go use it.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode, number 281 of the Better on Draft podcast. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. I appreciate it. You can follow us on all of our social medias, Better on Draft on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Of course, you can find the video if you're listening to us via podcast, like most of you do, youtube.com/Better on Draft. Thank you so much. How do you say it? Framingham?
Framingham.
Yes. Just like it's spelled.
Framingham. All right. Massachusetts, go check it out. Plenty of cans to have, especially if you're making your way into Boston. It's an easy stop to get there before you head into the city itself. For those smaller breweries like Trillium, as you guys said, I'll make sure to cut that and send it out to them just so they know. We're
like halfway between Treehouse and Trillium.
I'll just say, present to them Exhibit A. On what Exhibit A thinks of them. But that's going to do it. Better on Draft. Thank you so much for joining us. No matter what you think of your beer, we think it's Better on Draft. Have a good night.
Peace.